Well, the last rousing day. Today we'll have mazes, so we're going to have to really be on target today. Need to check to make sure we have all the pages. There's been people that have gone out missing some pages, so I got to sit down, and now it's time for me to go to work.
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Welcome to a new episode of Sam's Garage. Sam and Doug complete the final section of the Great Race. Sam installs a Pypes Performance Exhaust on the Bel Air. The SC300 receives upgraded coilovers and wheels and tires. Then Sam showcases some premium steering components from Mevotech. Sam and Doug are heading up the East Coast through beautiful Maine and make sure to stop and enjoy some fresh lobster.
So here we are on the last leg of the race. We are day 9 and we're starting out in Augusta, Maine as well. On the last 3 days of the leg, we all basically stayed here in Augusta. Today, we're going to be going on to Gardiner. That's where the banquet's going to be. So we're going to be going up and down, and from what I hear, it's going to be a maze today. And what a maze is basically they throw you for a huge loop. You got 100 plus cars going into a neighborhood and just basically going around. And so you see your people and it just confuses you. You don't know whether to turn left or right, whether they're wrong, you're wrong, who's right. And they do that on purpose to throw you for a loop. That's what the whole thing is about the Great Race. It's not about who's fastest, it's not about who can take the corner best. It's about technical, who can follow instructions best, who's gonna race their own race the best. And that's what's gonna happen today.
This is a 1931 Buick Phaeton.
What I love about this is this gentleman right here. Looks like he's owned this car. He's period correct from back in the day. The way he dresses, the car, the luggage, the whole 9 yards. It's a complete package and I love it. So tell us how you're doing.
We've had some issues, but as long as we make it to the end, that's what counts.
The biggest thing about the Great Race is the fact that you guys are in such old vehicles and they're original. These things are not modified. The only thing you can modify is safety items. If you modify a powertrain, you're gonna get docked points. So these cars are making it. You guys just went, I mean, here you are in Maine, so we've made it. We got the last leg today, 2,300 miles. In pouring down rain, we've had 2 or 3 days of pouring down rain. With this, does this thing have windows?
No, it has side curtains, you snap them up.
That is so cool.
All the rest of them are like that.
We have a full house today.
Yes, we have my 3 daughters with me.
And this thing will carry and pull everyone up those hills and all that stuff and down to brakes.
So far,
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, vapor lock has been a big problem.
Yeah, I know, vapor lock has been a big problem for a lot of people. One, the hoses, a lot of people didn't replace their old hoses. And you should, because then what happens is it pulls air. Pieces of insulators under the carburetors, like wood blocks. Okay, the clothespins don't really work very well. But if you put a wood block or something plastic in between, it'll isolate the heat from the carburetor. It'll help big time.
And we changed the timing too, so that helped,
Yeah, timing,
helped a lot.
advance the timing, and it just turned into a different animal.
It's so cool. It looks so good running down the road, and seeing this guy in the car just completes the package. That's awesome.
'74 Jensen Healy. The British made it for the American market, and they put a hell of a combination together. The important thing about this car is keeping it maintained, keeping it running hard. It's a complete family member. It's an experience. A car like this likes to be driven hard to clear out the carburetors. It's a very smooth car, but 50 years ago they had it right. You know, we didn't need to change the technology. There's no computers in this car, but the car is synced very well with everything. It's a very, very well-made car. Get one of these for 10 grand, start working on it in your garage, and put it together and come do this race.
Here we are in Gardiner, Maine. This is the finish line. Now, I don't believe in participation trophies, but this is one where we totally earned it. We believe in it because for anyone in this race to be able to make it from the beginning to the end, 2,300 miles, in the conditions that we were in, we have totally earned this.
Yeah, we have, Sam. It was unbelievable. We had rainstorms, we had weather, we had a hydroplaning. Sam was puking. I had a nasal problem, and we had to persevere through it. We earned every bit of it.
Absolutely. And hats off to anyone who may have won it and got the grand prize because it's well deserved. This is the hardest race you guys can have.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam installs a Pypes Performance Exhaust system complete with a set of polished stainless steel mufflers on the Chevy Bel Air.
So we're at the final step of the drivetrain, and we're going to install a Pypes Performance Exhaust system.
Yep, in this case, we got a set of 2.5-inch offset stainless steel polished, right?
It's really nice.
You can get this universal. You can get the builder kit. It comes with the J pipes and bends you need. They got straight pipes. They have them in stainless polish and stainless. So all we got to do is cut some pieces up, put it together. We'll see if I go over the axle or not. If I don't go over the axle, I got a local shop to do it for me.
Yeah, this gives you a little more freedom with the builder's kit though. So if you've got something different with your car, maybe a clearance issue or whatever, you can get a little more creative.
Absolutely. All right, so this is going to be a process where you guys are going to have to use something like the hem saw to cut your pipes with, and you will have to use a welder like the Miller-Matic you saw me using. Now, if you've never welded before, that's okay. It's never too late to start. Miller even has classes you can check out online to kind of teach you how to get started on welding. But let me tell you something, when it comes to the machine, if you got something like the Miller-Matic, it's pretty easy. The machine pretty much welds itself. As long as you know how to set the settings on the machine as to what gauge and material pipes you're using, the welder is pretty forgiving. So you guys go out there, grab a welder, and learn how to weld. You can make anything after you do. So the first thing I did was make my up pipe that goes from the header down through the hole, and I put my mufflers, the only place you can put your mufflers on this car, which is right here in the X. I did put them with clamps because you have to be able to service this exhaust. So that's, the mufflers come right out, everything else is welded, but the pipes will come out of the holes. So everything is mandrel bent stainless steel. Now I'm not gonna finish the tailpipes because I've run out of pipes. And Chris over at my muffler shop, he can take it because he's got a bender, he's got an expander. Let me tell you guys, when you're doing exhaust and you can expand pipe like this, and it takes hydraulics to do that, then you can very easily put pipe together, manipulate it, bend it, and you get a nice clean weld instead of a butt weld. You get a seam weld, and it does a lot better. It doesn't go through the material. So having an exhaust machine is gonna make the tailpipes go a lot easier because you gotta bend it, go over. That's not for me. I've got it to the point where I can crank it and drive it over to Chris, and he'll take care of it for me. So this is a complete stainless steel system. As you can see, the pipes mufflers are polished. So the last thing you want to do is introduce heat before you clean them up. Take a towel, take some brake cleaner, completely take all the oil and fingerprints off mufflers and anything that's stainless steel so that you don't burn them into it forever. Now what I've done is take the tailpipes out past the X. They're right here, ready for Chris to very easily take them out the back. If Victor wants to dump them before the exhaust, he can, but this is a Bel Air, so he's gonna probably keep it classy and put some tailpipes back there. So finally, the exhaust system is done. Almost. Chris has a little bit of work ahead of him when it comes to the tailpipes, but besides that, we're good to go.
Yeah, it wasn't too much work. I mean, obviously it's more than a traditional bolt-in system, but it wasn't that bad.
Nope. So next week we're going to do the final thing, which is to mate the powertrain to the car, and that is in the way of a low-car dipstick for the transmission and the oil. We need a low-car cable to adapt the low-car pedal to the car to the Edelbrock. So that's next. And don't forget, guys, anytime you have an exhaust system that you're running yourself and you have cooler lines, fuel lines, make sure to use some DEI heat wrap to keep everything at bay and protect your investment. So I just got done building a good client of mine, Trinity's '06 Silverado, put a fully forged 6-liter LS engine in it from a 5.3. We also did the transmission, but he's got 37-inch tall tires, and if I don't address the gears, I'm gonna kill his entire investment. So what I did was went to Ron's machining service, Ron Schwab from Schwartz Creek, Michigan. He was into RC cars at 11 years old. That's what got him into motorsports, and that's what got me into motorsports also, Ron. As a teenager, he was drag racing, so he knows exactly what it takes to be reliable both on the strip and on the street. So I went to him and got me a set of 456 gears along with everything I need for a complete install. And his install kits come with both carrier bearings and shims and pinion shims, so it's complete. You don't have to go to the store for anything. He's got the bearings, the axle seals. I went with an Eaton Torsen style posi traction differential for the rear end. Now this is an independent front rear end. It's a 4-wheel drive, so I've got the gears for the front end as well and the gasket for the rear. And if you guys are doing any service at home on your custom car or even your daily driver, you got to check out Ron's machining service because he's going to have all the parts you need to both rebuild and upgrade your rear end.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. The Nopi SC300 gets a new set of adjustable coilovers, as well as a fresh set of wheels and tires.
This week, Julie and I on the SC300 Nopi project, we're going to be tackling the cosmetics in the way of wheels, tires, and suspension.
Yes, and it is really time for these wheels to go on this car. It's bothered me the whole time. So I'm really excited to change out these wheels.
It's because she doesn't understand. This was set up for a drag car.
I get it. They're just ugly.
So we're going to make it look better today with a nice set of old school BBS replica wheels. I went to Tire Distributors of Georgia, got me a nice set of Falcons to go onto those wheels, and we got a full coilover set to do with the suspension. All right, so when you guys are installing full coilovers like this one, it's going to come with 2 adjustments right here. This here is going to be for your spring rate. As you tighten it, it'll tighten your spring rate, which will also raise the vehicle. And then you also have a ride height adjustment right here. So depending on whether you've got this set up, you can do this with corner weights as well. If you're doing road racing, that's really the way you want to do it. Then you can use this portion for ride height adjustment. It will not change your spring rate. Now on the front, the upper A-arm, the strut actually goes through it. You have to remove the little giant bolt that Toyota uses for the upper A-arms out of the suspension, pull the A-arm away from the chassis. That'll give you access to pull the strut out of the A-arm. Anytime you guys are removing the struts, take off the sway bar end links because you're going to be fighting the sway bar. When it comes to adjusting your coilovers, there's going to be 2 adjustments. Now, there'll be 3 adjustments if you guys have dampening adjustability as well. In this case, I do not. I just have spring rate and ride height. So the first 2 is going to be for the spring rate. You can tighten and loosen the spring rate, and I recommend using corner scales if you guys want to get serious with it. If you're just going for aesthetics, see how it rides. If it's too bumpy, loosen the spring rate a little bit. If it's too soft, tighten it a little bit. Then you're going to use the whole shaft, remove the bottom collar. That way you can spin the top and lengthen and shorten the strut so that you can raise or lower the vehicle. You want to make sure that the suspension can travel, so therefore the first thing you have to remove is going to be the sway bar end link. Then the upper A-arm in my case. And to get to the upper A-arm nut for the ball joint, you're going to have to push in the axle. So take the nut off the axle shaft, just push it in. That'll give you enough room to get a 19mm socket swivel chrome in there. You can impact it. Taking it off with the wrench is no problem, and a hammer, that's going to be easy. But putting it back on, the joint's going to want to spin on you, and the nut's going to spin the shaft on the joint. So to do that, you have to have an impact so you can spin the nut faster than the shaft, and that'll pull down the joint, locking it in place. Don't forget to put the sway bar end link back in place once you put the new strut back in place. Went to GWG Wheels and got me a set of replica BBS old school mesh wheels. I went to Tire Distributors of Georgia and got me a set of 19-inch Falcon 510s. Falcon's been doing this a long time, affordability and performance on the street. Doesn't that look good?
It looks great.
The gold, the red, the shiny glittered steering wheel.
Yeah, no, today, this was a huge improvement to this car and really transformed the whole look of it.
Yep. So I got the wheels from eBay. Those things, you guys, you know if your wheels are good when they balance nice and true with very little weight. Saved a whole bunch of money there. Went to Tire Distributors of Georgia, got me a set of Falcon 510s. Love the Falcons, they're asymmetrical, they're gonna last a long time and do really good on the track. Now all we gotta do is make this thing run, and that's gonna be next week.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam takes some time to review Mevotech's steering components from their TTX High Performance lineup.
All right, guys, today we're gonna be talking suspension, and in specific, Mevotech. This is a 42-year-old company. They got 13 patents born by engineers. They really have a passion for their suspension components. All right, so Mevotech has the original grade, the Supreme, and the TTX, which is what we got here. Now, the TTX is patented technology. The boot itself is attached to the joint, so it's not gonna come apart like all the other boots you see out there, and it is greasable. So it's very important that you guys always do a good visual inspection of your suspension components, looking for any kind of cracking, play. If there is dry joints, if you do have greasable fittings, you got to put grease in it if the joint is dry, or if the boot is busted, cracked, dry rotted, coming apart, and the grease will not stay inside the joint. So don't let that happen. It's up to you technicians to let the customer know what's going on when they come in for an oil change. So it's very important. You take a flashlight, you go through the front and the back, check out all the suspension components, look for any leaks, look at the exhaust system, do it justice for the customer while you have it up in the air. Now, let's say you guys are going down the road and you hit a little series of bumps and you hear a little rattling. Most cases it's going to be the sway bar end links. These 4 bushings, one hugs the sway bar, the other one's gonna hug the spindle or knuckle. And it's gonna limit the travel of the suspension because of the sway bar itself. So these things are under a lot of strain. So when you're looking for a noise, always take a look at the sway bar end links. You can grab them, you can move them, and you'll see that it's gonna have play in it. Now, your tie rod ends, very important that you guys get a vehicle. If you have a tire wear that's a little abnormal, take the tire up off the ground, let it hang from its suspension. Then take the tire left and right, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and move that wheel back and forth to see if there's any play in your outer tie rod or the inner tie rod. If you see the play, just grab another technician, have them do the movement on the wheel. You go underneath and look and see whether this one's moving or this one's moving, and replace the one that's bad. Now, what I also love about Mevotech is they're not going to give you parts that are raw. If you look at this, they've got a nice anti-corrosive coating on the outside. They are a Canadian company. So as you can tell, there's going to be lots of snow and brine up there. And so they want to keep these components lasting a long time. They also look good, but the main thing is to make them last a long time. Now, this is the pitman arm. If you guys have a steering box, this is going to connect the steering box to that linkage. There's going to be another arm similar to this on the opposite side. It's going to be called the idler arm. This is very important. These do last a long time, but it's a very good idea to do a good visual inspection of them while you're under the vehicle. What I also love about Mevotech is the cotter pins. Everything, the grease fittings are all greasable. They give you fittings in every joint, but those cotter pins are reusable. Very easy. You're not going to cut yourself. You don't have to get your side cutters and finagle with the cotter pin trying to make sure they're right. They've also come out with new boots identical to the OEM. This is going to be for a Chevy. And this is the steering rack boot. And you want to protect that joint. Even though you got a good protective boot right there that's integrated in the joint, you still want to protect it from any dust. And that's what this one's going to do right here. All right, you technicians out there, it is your responsibility to keep the customers safe. So if you see anything odd on the suspension components, let the customers know.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Sam's Garage. Sam and Doug have finally completed the great race. The Chevy Bel Air's exhaust system is now complete. The Nopi SC300 is sitting pretty on new coilovers and wheels. And Sam reviewed Mevotech's premium steering components.